Okay. Here we are,
Okay.
bro. Yeah.
Yeah, we're alive.
Been a
We're
while, right?
alive.
Been a
It's
while.
been a while, but
Got
we're
my
alive.
tea
We're
here.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to frustrate you guys, but
Yeah.
this episode, I'm drinking water because it is super hot here in Brazil
Yes, it
and
is.
here in Campinas.
I did not miss that heat, man. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I didn't miss. But I have coal
Oh,
actually.
you got a
eh,
new mug. You got a
I
new
did. I
mug.
did. I finally got a new mug. Yes, exactly. So
Freaking
finally, yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
I don't know what
Look,
happened to my mug, but it happened during bet, probably. Somebody took it or broke it. I don't know, man. So anyway, I have my new mug now.
somebody named Andre may have broken it, right?
Well, I think somebody mishandled my luggage, That's what happens with like I've been traveling a
Yeah,
lot to
well.
know those and then I anyway, man. I got it now. Yeah.
All
The
right,
fir-
guys. So we're here for the last episode of Chá Pedagógico of
yeah.
2025.
Does that
Uh,
explain why we're wearing Santa's hat?
it's Chá Pedagógico's
Yes,
tradition.
exactly, right? So there we
We've
go.
been doing
Yeah.
this for almost 7 years. Yeah,
Oh man. Wow.
we look ridiculous only in the last episode of the year because the other episodes we don't, right?
Well, I think we normally look ridiculous. We look better with the hats
Yeah.
than normally. But anyway, man.
Yeah, and it's very old school episode. Not only because
Yeah.
of the Santa's hat, because it's the
Yeah.
tradition, but also because we're looking like bums because of the beard. It's
Yeah,
been a
that's true.
while, huh?
I gotta, dude. I didn't have the courage to go to a proper barber in China, so I have to do it here in Brazil. So, well,
Well,
let's see.
in
Yeah.
my case, is not because of that. It's more mobility issue. But yeah,
Yeah, man. But dude, you're gonna get fully recovered. So everybody
I will.
watching here, we don't believe in this. I was going to say a bad word, but in this nonsense.
Oh,
But send good vibes to Rudy so
I'm
he can
fine.
recover.
Yes,
Yeah,
my foot's okay now. It's
yeah.
getting better. It's getting
Getting
better.
better, man.
Yes.
Yes, awesome.
So, guys, you know the drill, right, guys? So, if you really like this episode and previous episodes, of course,
Yeah,
hit the like button. It's really important to us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to Gisal's YouTube channel here because then in 2026, when Shabbat Pedagógico comes back,
yeah,
you're going to be notified. And
absolutely.
if
Yeah,
you haven't followed us on Instagram, Andres' handle on Instagram is The Learning Cosmos. It's going to get
yeah.
back because
Finally,
Andres
because
back.
I
It
couldn't
is
update anything,
I
but yes,
I'm
yes,
sure you guys are
yeah,
gonna have like a flood of new content because
yes,
yeah. And
yeah,
don't forget to follow me. My handle on Instagram is that Marcelo Consultoria with double T and double L. Don't forget to
yeah,
follow Gisal's Instagram account, which
yeah.
is Gisal
She's how
Desenvolvimento de Conhecimento
distributora, I think.
ou
Yeah,
distribuidora. We
distribuidora.
never
Yeah.
get the handle correct.
Let me
Never.
check here, but I think it's only
Oh my
distribuidora.
goodness. They are going
Otherwise,
to
it would be
disown us.
yeah, it would be too long to write. So let me see.
My goodness. And in the meantime, don't forget to
Yeah,
follow Ciranda Cultural's on Ciranda Cultural's account on Instagram, which
yeah,
is at Ciranda Cultural. Also very important. They have a very
that's it.
interesting label for books called W Books. They're also on Instagram. A lot of
Absolutely.
great books, a selection of amazing books.
Yeah.
Very
So
important to
it is
follow.
Disal distribuidora. Okay, that's the
Aha.
the handle.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
follow us. And again, if you really like this episode, you hit the like button, share
Yeah.
the episode with as many people as you can, because then you're going to make a lot of people see us. Then the algorithm is going to see that we're doing it.
Exactly.
Well, you know the drill, right?
You know the drill.
You
You
know
know
the
the
drill.
drill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
And dude, what do we do in this episode normally? We just go back in time. We
We
look at
chat.
we chat, right? As we normally do, but we go back in time, look at the previous episodes of the year, and we do a review, right? We just
Yeah.
talk about some concepts that we addressed here. And the first one we talked about was probably one of my favorites, and it's metacognition, right? So we
Yes.
discussed metacognition. What is metacognition? Why metacognition matters, especially for learning languages. And I just wanted to say very quickly that I kind of don't agree with the slogan that metacognition is learning how to learn. Just because there are many things attached to metacognition, But learning how to learn and not doing anything is not very metacognitive,
Yeah.
So you learn, okay, maybe I should use this strategy, that strategy. You've learned how to learn better, but did you apply the strategy? Because if you didn't, then you were half metacognitive, not full on metacognitive.
Exactly.
But I do think that metacognition is something that we can all do to a certain extent, and it really helps us learn things better and reflect on the learning process so we can make adjustments as we go, right? That's the whole point.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And there's also the linguistic aspect of metacognition is that once we reason upon the language that we're using, actually, we do this all the time, even with our native language. We use our metacognitive skills in order to do that. Because when you're a valedictorian, for example, and you're going to have a speech, you're going to talk, and you're going to address to a lot of people, you're going to choose your words carefully. Oh my goodness, carefully.
Yeah.
And why? Because you want to get your message across based on that specific moment in that specific context. If you're having a presentation, or if you're making a pitch to raise funds for your company in the Silicon Valley, you're going to choose the right constructions, the right words, the combination of words, because you have a target, you have a goal, which is to raise funds, which is to positively manipulate the mental state of an investor, so that the investor agrees to, use his or her money in your company. So this is all part of our metacognitive skills. So we reason upon this. The thing is, we do this so fast. It's not that it's not something that we do it deliberately. We don't reason upon reasoning.
Once you got the hang of it, right? It requires exercise, right? Like practice, because you said that, and it reminded me of a book I have here by Daniel Kahneman, and he talks about thinking fast and slow. And when you do something too fast, you usually overlook very important steps of the process, right? So if you are just making a decision by, not pondering too long about it, it's probably very automatic in your brain because it's fast, so it doesn't require a lot of contemplative thinking and so on, right? But when you do get the hang of it, being metacognitive becomes automatic as well, because it becomes a habit, right? And I think that's what we can practice metacognition by thinking about the things that we do, if they're going to work or not, if we can use this or that, and that becomes like second nature. You can do that more easily, right? But it takes practice, like anything else,
like
right?
anything that we want to learn. If you want to learn something, it takes practice. You got to do this again in different contexts, and do it again and again and again and again. But at some point, we as teachers, not just language teachers, but we as teachers, we have to help our students realize what they have achieved. And this is called visible learning.
Exactly.
This is very, very, very important. This was the first episode of the year. So guys, if you really want to watch the full episode that we explored the metacognitive aspect of teaching, don't forget, here on Disal's YouTube channel, you're going to find all episodes of Chá Pedagógico, including this one. And we mentioned John Hattie's book, Visible Learning.
Visible learning.
It's like a Bible for visible learning, I would say.
Yes, it is.
Or the Quran for visible learning, or whatever religious,
whatever the Torah or whatever
for visible learning. Exactly. So sometimes we as educators, we have to help our students understand what they have achieved.
Exactly.
Because sometimes, especially with language, because language is not something that, it's not tangible. It's not something we can show that they see that they've progressed. Sometimes some of them have this feeling like, I have to now when I have to travel, I feel more confident. But still, it's about confidence and not necessarily something quantitative. It's something more about the feeling, more about the gut, about their guts. So it's our job to exteriorize the metacognitive skills that everybody has.
Absolutely.
We
Yes.
have, they have. So we just say,
Yeah.
students, come here, look. You've done this with the language.
Yeah.
You've used this kind of construction with the language. And by using this kind of construction, look at the consequences. Look what
And they
you
might be biased, right? I just wanted to add that because you said sometimes students feel confident that they have made progress, that they have achieved something, but they might be operating under a certain bias. Like, okay, I feel that I got better, but did you really? So you have to test yourself, or in many cases, not even that, because you yourself doing something to yourself might not cut it. You need to have external help, and that's why you have a teacher, right, to tell you,
like
no,
a second opinion. You need to have a
exactly.
second opinion, you know,
There you
like
go.
when you go to a doctor.
Yeah.
And this leads us, this conversation led us
Yeah.
to exploring a little bit of this idea of imposter syndrome, because that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You have both extremes in this case. The extreme that the person feels very confident and thinks they know it all. And we also, because the person never had access to an educator that was watching our episode and said, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to help my student realize that they're not there yet. Or
Exactly.
look, you're not there yet, but you've accomplished a lot. And you also have the other end of the spectrum, which is the person that thinks that they never learn anything, or they haven't learned anything.
They're not good enough, even though they do have the skills, right?
Exactly. And now thinking more about language, this normally happens to very low proficient students. They feel like, and adult learners, they feel like, oh, I'll never learn this language. Oh, it's impossible. I've tried so many times, but for me, it's impossible. Look, I've been having language lessons for whatever years or for how many months, and I haven't learned anything. No, wait a minute. You have. The progress is slow. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So sometimes we need to make learning visible. We need to tell our students, get their hands and say, come here, because Uncle Rudy is going to tell you what you've accomplished so far. And sometimes they're going to have a hard time even feeling that confidence that the other end of the spectrum has felt.
And dude, and I think this has everything to do. I mean, there is a very interesting transition to the second episode of the year, which has to do with mobiles, right? With phones. Because I think what will interfere or distort actually people's views of reality, of how much progress they have made, how much effort they have to employ to get something done. Social media. Definitely, like screen time, social media. So what happens, and everybody knows this, a lot of people, especially adult learners on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, they are bombarded every day with ads from gurus telling them that they can learn English much faster, telling them that the way that people have been teaching English in traditional schools, whatever, is wrong. They just want to keep them longer so they can pay more, whatever. And that they have a secret formula based on the brain and, stuff like that.
That they have
BS like that.
No, that they've got studies from somewhere that only they know.
They are the only ones who have access to that. Man, come on. But this kind of BS is abundant, man, on social media. And that will also mess with your brain, your perception of reality. So in this second episode, we didn't focus on that aspect of phones, but this is also part of it. But we focused more on the idea that there's robust evidence now showing that phones are interfering with other cognitive processes, So we know, for example, that kids are not paying attention as much as they could a couple of years ago before social media, because there is this incredibly intense and fast release of dopamine in their brains, which is this reward-seeking neuromodulator or neurotransmitter that they want to they many of them want to pay attention to the class. They do, they want to learn. But then something gets boring or slightly harder,
Yeah.
that requires more cognitive effort. Your brain wants to preserve energy. Your brain goes, oh, there's a notification on my phone. Maybe somebody texted me. Maybe somebody posted a picture on the beach in Greece. I don't know. Your brain wants to see that because it's easier. It requires less energy, and your attention gets diverted all the time.
Yes.
And that's terrible. That's really bad for learning. So
Yes.
so we asked the question, right, Rudy? Should mobile phones be banned or not?
And I think, yes, well, again, guys, this episode is here. You can watch the full episode about mobile phones and if you're
Yeah.
not from Brazil, we do have a law here in Brazil that
Yeah.
was enabled in the beginning of this year of 2025.
Yeah.
And the law says that phones are not necessarily banned, but very restricted in
Exactly.
schools.
Exactly.
In schools.
Yeah.
And nowadays, some months ago and now, we've been telling the results and positive results. But take
Positive
a look at the
results,
episode.
exactly.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's not only about attention, about a distraction.
Yeah.
Am I here? Oh, wait a minute.
You're yeah.
Someone was calling me.
Yeah, no, you're here.
Okay, because someone was calling me. You
Okay.
have the,
I have the little okay, so the reactions are activated, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if it's mine or not. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, someone called me and I thought it was disturbing the whole, but it wasn't. So attention wise, not only a distraction, but also it's about the content.
Yeah.
Because of course, as you were saying, phones tend to be more interesting than our lessons in the classroom. They tend to be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's going to be more attractive to students. And the problem is not only the amount of time that they are spending on their phones in schools, but also the content, because they've been exposed to very short content, and this been affecting their attention span.
Yeah.
So basically, we have an entire generation being developed, cognitively developed.
Yeah.
Based on these short contents that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
And we understand these contents need to be short because
that's how you hook them.
Media, and there is social media, and social media have the content needs to be very short. But the thing is that because this is the kind of content that this new generation is exposed to, and only this kind of content, when they need to read a book, which is more extensive, or even if they need to go to a theater and watch a play, go to the movies.
Yeah. Even watching their series, man.
Exactly.
They keep looking at their phones.
They look at their phones.
Sometimes we do that as well. Yeah.
We do that. Or when they need to watch a game, I know because I go to soccer stadiums a lot. I really like soccer. And I see a lot of young fans, this new generation of fans, from time to time checking their phones and, not just taking stuff, but using their phones. So they cannot watch an entire soccer halftime from the beginning to the end of the halftime. And it's only 45 minutes.
Exactly. But dude, this is exactly how addiction works. I mean, maybe we don't have to call it addiction. Maybe we can call it compulsion. But those are very similar mechanisms in the brain. When you have no control over your actions because of the use of a substance or a device in this case, so you unconsciously reach out, and pick up your phone all the time to check something. You have lost that kind of control that you should have. That means you are becoming addicted. And well, of course, addiction to drugs is different. Like if you remove the drug from someone, this withdrawal will lead to a series of problems that, the person might might die, might commit crimes, So if you get someone's phone out of their hands for a couple of days, I don't think the intensity will be the same, Like people will not go out on the streets, with a gun trying to get their phones back or something like that.
Well, it depends on the country.
Yeah, maybe, but the thing is, it's that's why if you have the substance or the device right there in front of you, and you are becoming addicted, or there's some sort of compulsion, you don't have control over your actions as much as you think. So you will be, you really want to watch that soccer game. You really want to watch that episode of the final episode of your favorite series, but something happens and instantly you want to post that on social media, or somebody sent you a message and instantly you want to read that. And that's really bad for your attention, because again, Rudy talked about attention many times in different workshops, right, Rudy? So there's one type of attention we call sustained attention. So we have many different types of attention, focused attention, sustained attention, peripheral attention, so all sorts of attention that will help you learn something. There are things they simply cannot be learned in a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You need many minutes over the course of many sessions for days to learn certain things.
Like language.
So you need sustained attention. Exactly. If you are looking at your phone every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, that's bad, because you're basically creating holes in your attentional system, and then you're not learning very effectively,
Yes. And nowadays, I believe everything is better in schools here in Brazil. But the very beginning, when this law was enacted, I said enabled. The word was enacted.
Enacted.
Yes,
enabled. Enabled also works.
Yeah, no, but it was enacted. It was enacted.
But I think, so also passed. But then that's
but it's
prior.
A bill, but
that's
it wasn't
prior
a bill.
To the bill. I don't know.
I think.
Was it?
Well, I don't know. We're not lawyers.
The bill passed and the law was enacted.
I don't know if it was a bill,
but also enabled.
But anyway,
the law enabled people to, take certain measures.
But there were a lot of people who were very pissed at schools.
I remember the reaction.
Yes,
the repercussion, right?
And there were many parents that were also very pissed, because there were many parents who thought, oh, but you were how did they say, you were not censoring, but you're removing the freedom of my son or of my daughter. They need to be free to use, and blah blah blah, a lot of BS that parents, they said. Which leads us to the next episode that we had this year, which was school evasion and cognition. And
exactly,
there were many parents who threatened to, say, okay, my son is not, or my daughter is not going to study here anymore. They resurrected a little bit, of course, but they resurrected a little bit the conversation about homeschooling.
Yes.
And there's also something here in Brazil. We have a lot of kids who have social medias, and they have like thousands, millions of followers, and they've been advocating.
Kid coaches.
They've been advocating against going to school.
Oh, there's so many stupid videos, man. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, if they're there, you have the consent from their parents.
Yeah.
They have the consent from the parents.
Yeah.
And we studied a result from a federal institution that we have here in Brazil. And this federal institution showed that 20% of our population here in Brazil, and here in Brazil, I think we have like 220 million people, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
We haven't reached 250, but we're very close. So I think it's 220 million people.
Yeah.
20% of the population who are over 18 years of age, they haven't concluded their basic education. It's not a random number. It's a federal institution responsible for doing these researches, social researches, etc. And they said, we have population here in Brazil who are over 18 years of age, and 20% of that population hasn't concluded their basic education. They haven't concluded the elementary school.
Exactly.
This affects
that's
directly
messed
the
up.
cognitive development of our cognitive development. So
Yes.
when we go to school, when we go to elementary school, when we go to preschool, and let's say preschool, and kids are
Yeah.
playing. Oh, my kids are playing. And if you're a parent, and if you're pissed because
Yeah.
they're only playing,
Yeah.
no, they're not only
You
playing.
know nothing, Jon Snow. Yeah,
Exactly.
come on.
Absolutely
parent.
nothing. And because they haven't concluded their basic education, this means that there's a big chance that they have a gap in their cognitive skills, in their cognitive development.
Yeah.
This is going to affect decisions. This is going to affect understanding of certain texts, written tests. This is going to affect understanding of the world. This is going to affect their language. This is going to affect a lot
Everything.
a lot of things. A lot of things.
And you know what, man? You and maybe I can connect with an episode that came a little after, was food for thought.
Oh yeah.
So we can. So why do we keep getting the same score year after year when we look at international ranks like PISA, for example? So Brazil is always pretty bad. We don't get very good results. We're not the last, but we are all close.
Very briefly, if you don't know what PISA is, this is a research that I think it's the United Nations or UNICEF.
UNICEF, I think. Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're both.
Well, you're
UNICEF is the United Nations. Yeah.
Exactly, and they check the level of school background that a certain population has.
I think it stands for something student achievement or something like PISA.
I think it's mathematics, language,
and science.
Science, exactly. Yes,
is a program for international student assessment. It's OECD and assesses reading, math, and science literacy. And they're teenagers, and we keep getting very bad results because of a combination of that. So school evasion, poor nutrition, because we need calories, energy to read, to do any cognitive anything in the brain. The brain needs to spend a lot of energy. So we have to get proper nutrition, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing that is very important, that is not directly related to cognition, but it is also part of cognition, is control, especially executive functions. So if you think about socialization, like sending kids to school so they can actually socialize with their classmates and have a functional social group life, like what we expect from functional adults, even though we get grumpier as we get older and we don't want to be around people anymore.
Not me.
Yeah,
I'm not one of them.
I'm not talking about, I am getting grumpier too, man. So there are certain people you don't want to be around anymore, right? So so that's better of socialization as well. But how else, really, what else can replace school? What there's nothing that can replace school in that regard, like training executive functions, socialization, cognitive development, like reading, science, and math. Everything happens at school, right?
Yes.
So it's important to go to school, folks. Very important.
Something that we always say, episode after episode, year after year, because next year, 2026, Chá Pedagógico is going to turn 7 years, right?
Holy moly. I was going to say something else.
Second time. And it wasn't me. It wasn't me this time. See?
Yeah, something happened to me during the trip, man. I'm cursing more. Okay.
But social interaction is the trigger for cognitive development or cognitive skills.
Yeah.
So, as you said, but I'm going to be majored in the school of life. Life is going
to... No, if you cannot control your instincts, if you don't have
up
good
to a certain point.
Functions.
Because when you're at school and you're a kid, you're going to have the the intervention of an educator. That's going to help you
Yeah.
regulate your emotions. That's going to help you understand certain things related to a
Yeah.
specific subject, uh, um, science, as you said, or language as well. When we interact in the school environment, we're gonna be exposed to languages from other students and
Absolutely.
language from adults. So we're
Yes.
going to have a variety of language, a variety of linguistic production. That's going to make us understand the world as well. Because again, this
Yeah.
perspective is based on the I think my sister's here.
Ah,
That's her
okay.
that's her perfume.
You can smell your
I
sister
can smell my
from
sister.
from a distance. Okay. Okay.
That's my sister's
Cool.
smell. That's
Yeah.
my sister's smell.
Cool. All
I
right.
think she's here.
Yeah.
That's her smell. That's her scent.
Awesome,
But
man. That's just,
anyway,
okay.
that's so weird, man. That's
Yeah,
weird.
we do
And
that,
it's here.
folks. You
It's
know,
recorded. It's recorded. I'm gonna
we do
show her
that.
that
We talk
later.
about strange things. You know, I can
But
smell my sister's
my
scent.
point exactly. So the scent made me access a specific characteristic from my sister. It made me access my
Exactly.
sister.
Yeah.
What the definition or the concept that I have of my sister. The same happens when we go to school and we are exposed to specific kinds of construction. Specific kinds
Yeah.
of constructions, they are going to make us develop certain concepts,
Yeah.
and we are going to retrieve some specific constructions whenever we need to um, describe something from the world or describe
Yeah.
some emotions or whatever. And if we
Absolutely.
don't, and if this whole process is interrupted, we're definitely going to have a gap.
We
Definitely.
lose, we lose, and this, man, has everything to do. So you mentioned empathy, socializing with others, and receiving their production, understanding from their perspective, looking from their minds, from their eyes, you know, and that will also lead to better regulation. And this has to do with the episode we talked about, the TV series
Mhm.
Adolescence.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
were at BET, right? We talked about it. It was
It was in Portuguese.
it was in Portuguese, yeah, Adolescência, so you can check it out on YouTube. It was a very important episode because I think this is what's happening to most teenagers around the world nowadays. Uh, because of their lack of, let's
We
say,
have an
contact.
intruder today.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it your sister or is it little
No,
Sophia? Okay.
I knew my sister was here, but I think come
Yeah.
here. Come. Do you want to say goodbye?
Ah, hello, little
Because she's
Sophia.
gonna
Is that
spend
yeah?
some time with her auntie.
Ah, cool.
Say hello to
Okay.
Uncle Andre.
Hello. Hi. She cannot hear me, but she can see me. She wanted to give daddy a hug, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See,
Let's thank you.
Chá Pedagógico is taking
Yes.
your daddy away from you. Yes.
Okay. Be careful. Be
Yeah.
very careful.
Yeah.
That's
But that's
okay.
it. You know, like this is a perfect illustration of what we were talking about. Okay. Yeah. You see, socialization, the human touch.
She said,
I heard that. I
"You
heard
heard
that.
that, did
Yes.
you?"
Que o André Papai Noel. That's it. See, that's you know, we go through so many situations together, man.
Oh, and
But
by the way,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
and yes, these are my crutches. I have
I
to
saw
use
your
crutches
crutch on
now.
the yeah. So, dude, it's gonna take a while, but you're
Yeah,
gonna
but
be
it's okay.
back on your feet, man.
And
But
if you
like,
want to know why, just DM me. I'll let you know
yes,
why
yes, yeah,
I'm having
yeah.
I'm using crutches. But
It's
please, yeah.
because Rudy's getting old, man, like all of us, you know,
I
and
wish it
things are
was
not
like
working well anymore, you know.
go
Our
ahead, dude.
bones are,
Before we got interrupted by my
dude.
little tsunami.
But that's the thing. Uh, if you are not exposed to different opinions, different groups, and like physically there in front of those people, and you are caught in a bubble on social media, incel bubble, or you know
Hmm.
whatever extremist group, just name it, you know whatever you want, just name it. You are going to start adhering to their ideology, and then you're going to start thinking like them, And because finally there's a sense of meaning and purpose in your life, like you felt like you've been not extremely well adjust to certain things, and then you found something that makes sense to you, you're going to do whatever they want you to do. And adolescence is really about this kid who at the beginning, like the very first episode, it's not quite clear if he had committed murder or not, but then you realize that yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually killed a girl because this girl called him something on social media. He felt extremely humiliated, and he had been following certain extreme views that want to subjugate women. They want, guys to be violent against women and so on. And he incorporated those things. And because he had not practiced self-regulation and then being okay with a different opinion, he did what he did, right? And that's very dangerous. Yeah.
And in this series, if you haven't watched this series, you're late, guys. Seriously. You're very late, because
that's why I didn't even say spoiler alert, because it's been around for a while. Okay.
Really, if you haven't watched this show yet, just do it. And you're late.
Yeah.
But there's also something very interesting, because it's not only about the family, and the whole show shows us that. Because the first thing you think is, oh, it's the family.
The family like screwed up or something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And in the beginning, in the first episode, the TV show leads. It's not a TV show, right?
Yeah,
it's a streaming service, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a streaming service. On TV.
Yeah, but anyway,
it's on Netflix. We can say it.
I guess so. Yes.
Yes.
So they lead us in the very first episode. They lead us to think that it's a family. The family. But then when you watch the other episodes, you come to understand it's not just the family. No. It's a combo. Yeah. It's a combo of a school that's completely messed up. And there is a specific episode that shows that the school,
chaotic.
I think it was the school principal or someone.
It's the second episode, I think. Yeah.
I think it is the second or the third episode. And I think it was the coordinator or the principal or, someone with some high position in a school. This person didn't know what the students were doing. They didn't know what the teachers were doing. That this lady, which I think was the principal or whatever, when the cops go to school, the detective goes to school, he asks, but where's teacher whoever? I don't remember his name. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, he was supposed to be, she's confused.
Everything is disorganized.
Kids disrespecting teachers, kids disrespecting themselves. So the whole environment, and that's what we explored also in this episode about the whole nourishing and the nourishment, we talked about Pierre Bourdieu, etc.
Exactly.
But the environment is like a time bomb, a ticking time bomb for things like this, for crimes like this to happen. And it's also a perfect environment for breeding incels.
Yeah.
Or breeding
involuntary celibate,
Hate speech in general, not only incels, but hate speech in general.
Yeah.
Hate speech against women, hate speech against minorities, hate speech against a specific ethnic group, hate speech against a specific country, limited perspective of the universe, because you clearly live in a bubble. Those actors, those characters in the show, the kid in this case, they clearly live in a bubble. And they don't extrapolate the bubble. And then, of course, they because they live in a bubble, they are only exposed to specific contents in social media or on the internet. They don't have access, and you clearly see the linguistic limitation. And again, we're not getting into George Orwell here, but when you have a specific limitation of language, maybe this means that you haven't had a chance to create different concepts that you're going to use the language, as I said a couple of minutes ago, to describe, and you cannot describe because either you don't have the concept or you don't have the language to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Either way,
And you know what, man?
gap,
Like
huge gap.
definitely, I remember. So the last episode when they're kind of, so the kid has been arrested.
Mhm.
They're going over as a family, father, mother, daughter. So what happened? What did we miss, right? And the father is played by this amazing British actor Stephen
Ooh,
Graham, who's from
amazing.
Liverpool. I think he's from Liverpool, very very close to, and we are huge Beatles fans, so that matters to us. You know,
That does.
yeah, he didn't even have to be a great actor. He just needs to be from Liverpool, and we like him. But he is a great actor.
He, a
It's
Beatles
amazing.
fan? Really?
Yeah, like yeah, you can tell, right?
Really? Nah.
But anyway, he he he's a hardworking man, working
Yeah.
class, northern England, and he spends the whole day working, just trying to give his kids the best, right? And he asks himself, where did we go wrong? And I thought that he was safe because he was in his room with his computer. He says that, right? So what are kids doing on their computer hours and hours every day when nobody's watching and when they have access to everything? So it's unlimited access to limitless resources. They can
Hmm.
access whatever they want, and nobody can do anything about it, because they will find a way to go around any restriction or ban you impose. And what type of content are they accessing? Like Rudy said, hate speech.
Yeah.
I have seen, and we can say that I remember, and this was years ago. My English students were teenagers, showed me videos of extreme violence, terrorist attacks, like mutilation and things like that. And then I was just, I remember watching that and feeling bad about it because it's not something easy to watch. And why are those kids watching something as
Deep
horrible as
web, man.
this?
Deep
Deep
web.
web, and they can do it. They can access this type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yes.
This is really bad. So there has to be some.
First, and
Oh,
and and
yeah,
and and we also need
yeah,
to understand their curiosity. It's okay to be curious
yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah,
are exploring the world. They are teenagers
yeah,
and they are exploring. And there's one more thing. They they haven't reached a cognitive point yet where they can
yeah.
actually understand the consequences of their actions. They haven't reached
Absolutely.
that point yet. They will. They're close to reaching that point, but they haven't yet. Okay. Having that said, they are also very curious because they start learning a lot of stuff. They have just learned that they are a being in the universe some
Yeah,
years before. Like, oh, I'm a human being, so I have emotions, I have will, and I
yeah,
am curious. I want to explore. I want to know what it's like. It's the natural course of things because when you're a
yeah.
kid, when you're an infant, they also do the same. Why? But now they are teenagers. They're not going to be asking why. They're going to try to make justice with their own hands by using the web,
Absolutely. Yes.
by using the web. So it's
Yeah.
okay to be curious. But the problem is they are
Yeah.
going to have access to things that were not supposed to be there. And if you
Yeah.
don't have, especially at home, parent, if you're a parent and you have
Yeah.
a teenager in your house, you have to talk to your
Yeah.
teenagers.
It's kind of like a dude. I was thinking of an analogy as you were talking. Like, okay, I can be curious about electricity, as a kid, but I will not touch anything electrical
Mm-hmm.
without any obstacle or protection around it. I mean, everything that is that dangerous needs to have some protection around it, because if you allow kids to go touch whatever they want anytime anywhere or explore whatever they want, they will get killed. They will
Mm-hmm.
or get injured or injure
Yes.
someone. So I
Yes.
think we need to look at social media and those contents like that. Okay, you want to be curious about that, but you cannot by yourself, just because you decided so, watch a whole footage of somebody being mutilated, like
Yeah.
tortured.
Yes.
How can you have access to stuff like that? You
Yes.
shouldn't. So there has
Exactly.
to be some sort of control over those things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which lead us, we kind of like criticize the school in that episode of the series.
Yeah.
And this leads us to the misconception that every
Yeah.
school, every perfect school is in Finland.
Yeah.
And we have
Definitely.
an episode based on this. The successful school isn't in Finland,
Yeah.
it's in Portugal. And one of the responsibles for this school, called Escola da Ponte, is
Yeah.
the great Professor José Pacheco.
José
Shout
Pacheco.
out
That's
to
the guy.
Professor José Pacheco.
Yes.
This is one of the guys responsible for that. And why? First of all,
Yeah.
why is this school so different? They don't they don't label students. And when I say label by, okay, now you're first grader, now you're second grader. No, let them live together. Let them learn from each other, which is really important. Remember some minutes ago, we were talking about socialization. That's really important. This is going to be a huge part of their cognitive development as well. They understand the school as a safe place where they can explore whatever, where they can talk whatever, where they can share whatever. And not only this, Escola da Ponte is also very important to explore the community, because
There you go.
school is not just a building where you take your kids to and you basically dump them there. That's not what a school's like. It's not that. It's not a made up something made of walls.
It's like a kid deposit,
Not
that
that.
it's not that.
Not that. Of course, there is a building, but it's part of a community.
Yeah.
It's in a neighborhood. What is in the neighborhood? Kids explore that as well, and they should explore that as well. This is very,
Absolutely.
very important, because here in Brazil, we do have an educational system that is, no, my school. So you have walls, you have big walls, and then you have fences, and then you have alarms, and you lock, and etc. So they are all in this confined place.
You mentioned Bourdieu, right? Yeah, Bourdieu. It's like a prison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like this is symbolic violence, power,
exactly.
you're contained within the walls of the building, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So kids are basically separated from real world.
Yeah.
And here in Brazil, this is only about the physical structure of the educational system we have in Brazil. But the other problem, which in my opinion is the worst, schools don't teach kids so they become full-fledged human beings.
Yeah.
They prepare they prepare kids so they can get a very good score, so they can get into a university, or they can get a job.
Exactly.
That's not what a school is for. That's not what a school is for.
And you know what? This is very related to some notions that, so again, I'm not saying, because I do think that Escola da Ponte is an amazing concept that works really well in many regards, but there's evidence showing that this type of approach might not address certain things, like in Brazil, like vestibular and things like that. But you have this choice. Think about this, you can send your kids to a school that will help them develop as human beings, as humane people who will, be more self-regulated, self-centered, self-sufficient, and all of that. Or you can send them to any of the schools we have available that will just hammer information into their brains so they can pass the vestibular, the university exams, entry exams. And then when they get their first job, they won't be able to deal with their boss's, requests, because they haven't been able to practice or train their executive functions. So which one do you choose? And again, what we're saying is we need to find a way to bridge that gap. Like we're saying, as Rudy said, the school is not just the brick and mortar, edifice building that was built on that specific territory, that location. It's actually part of the community.
Yeah.
And I think what we want to see more is kids helping develop certain things within the community and even offer potential solutions to community problems. I always mention Deborah Garofalo, who's the teacher who almost, she was one of the finalists in this International Teaching Award ceremony. I remember it was hosted by the Wolverine,
Yeah,
by Hugh Jackman. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was the host of the ceremony. I remember. So a teacher from Africa won. I think it was from Kenya. But I remember Deborah Garofalo was like top 10. And
she's from Brazil. Okay, guys, if you're not from Brazil, Deborah Garofalo is from Brazil.
She's
an educator from Brazil.
Exactly, from São Paulo more specifically. And she was helping students develop projects that involved robotics and coding through collecting garbage in the community. So, the suburbs of São Paulo, so it was a poor neighborhood. They didn't have access to materials like Lego and kits, for robotics and things like that. So she said, why don't we help clean the community, and the plastic bottles and the metal and whatever we can find, we can use that as spare parts to build robots and learn coding and so on, right? Which is a brilliant solution if you think about it,
That's
so
awesome.
We can do stuff like that.
Now imagine,
that, right?
Imagine a school that is going to kind of like stop this kind of program and say, and disencourage this kind of project from kids, because they say, oh, no. From now on, you guys need to know whatever is going to be in the exam for you to get into a university, because this is not going to be in the university, in the exam. Again, guys, we're not saying that universities are not important. We're not saying that kids should not attend university. That's not what we're saying.
No.
We went to universities.
Yeah.
Plural.
That's why we are drinking tea, because we went to universities in the UK.
Exactly. It's really cool. It's really awesome. It's amazing. It helps us again to improve our cognitive skills, because so we're going to improve. We're going to have access to a lot of other stuff, a lot of other types of knowledge. Yes, it is really important. The problem with the educational system in Brazil, and probably in many other parts in the world, is that the focus is only on this. Only on the grade. You need to have a grade, because if you don't have a grade, you're not going to pass.
Exactly.
Seriously?
So that's the thing, man. Schools are also meant to develop morals, values, ethics. But in China, just to give an example, I'm not saying China is a great model, because I am against a lot of things they do there. But one thing they do that is actually interesting is that kids, they spend so long, like the whole day at school. They have multiple sessions of physical education. They have a lot of arts, like not only basic elementary school, but all over. Even in college, they still have calligraphy, painting, and things like that. And they also have a lot of values and philosophy. Usually Confucius, stuff like from the East. But again, we don't see that anymore in Brazilian schools or universities. So we should also, because the thing about Brazil is that we focus too much on, subject areas, right? Like kind of, and values, ethics, morals, and things like that. Physical education, they're not part of that anymore. So they don't receive as much attention. So I think what we're seeing here is, okay, let's practice for a vestibular, and then, sure, let's do it. But at the same time, let's produce better human beings.
Exactly. We're in need of good human beings.
Man.
We have a shortage of good human beings. So it's important. It's important also. What people don't understand, especially again here in Brazil, we are using Brazil as our canvas here, because that's where we live. So we can talk about that. And we are educators as well. So we can talk about this.
Absolutely. And AI is not the way.
Exactly.
Because we talked about that as well, right?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it can help a little bit, maybe.
it helps up to
Yeah.
a certain point, up to a certain
Yeah.
extent, it does.
Yeah.
But the problem is, what people don't realize is that if you don't do that, the workforce is not going to have a shortage. Is going to have a shortage of workforce. No. Do you really want to have like 1 billion people in the getting into a workforce every year, or you prefer to have qualified workforce getting it, go into the market, being available in the market,
and socially and emotionally prepared?
Exactly.
Because that's the thing. Because the workforce that only is a product of cognition. Well, I keep using my hands here. And this is, come on, this is messed up. Okay. But anyway, so I'm going to stop using my hands. So the workforce that is a product of this machine, that only hammer down cognitive knowledge and whatever, will suffer because that's what, dude, you can ask everyone. What is the report that we get from people, from employers? It's that the new generation cannot deal with frustration anymore. Of course, it's different if you're thinking about abuse, psychological abuse, and which is completely valid. Of course, if your employer wants you to do BS that is not up to you, has nothing to do with you, and you're not gonna get paid for that. Yeah, if you can refuse, please do. They shouldn't do that. That's exploitation, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, what happens is people get frustrated with the deadline of a project, or normal standard stuff that happens in the workplace. They cannot deal with it because they haven't trained self-regulation. What happens, I mean, I'm serious, 20-something-year-old people bring their parents to the workplace to talk to their bosses.
I know.
20-something, old people, they quit. Like the first encounter they have with something like a situation like that, they cannot deal with that. They quit. Like it's not about quitting; it's about finding a way to get past that, right? Yeah.
And they're not able to read scenarios. They're not able to read intentions. They're not going to be able to understand certain perspectives. They're not going to be able to actually communicate certain situations, to describe certain situations in the office.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Since the focus of the educational system in Brazil is only in getting a job in the future and entering the workforce, they're not going to be able to do that. We talked about this. We were interviewed many months ago to talk about that. There is a result. There is a result saying that, yes, we do have a lot of half illiterate people entering the workforce.
Yeah.
We have 29% of people who are in the universities today here in Brazil are half illiterate. Illiterate.
And that shows, the PISA shows that as well. Yes. So you can look at the reading scores, and it's really bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And getting into the end of the episodes that we have this year of 2025, we talked
about AI.
I
know that.
We talked about AI, exactly. And cognition and bilingualism as well.
Yeah.
But there was something really cool that we did.
Yeah. What was that?
We had a live episode in São Paulo.
Oh, yeah. Man, how could we forget that? Yeah.
It was one of the coolest things we've done in the almost 7 years that we've had Chá Pedagógico. So Disal was responsible for organizing the episode, of course, once again. And that's when we actually announced that Ciranda was going to be with us. Ciranda is with us, and also Macmillan.
Macmillan supported us as well.
By the way, there is something really cool being with
no spoilers, bro.
For next year.
But it's going to happen next year. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. We're going to announce, okay?
And of course, this episode was really, really special because of this. We were live. We were in São Paulo. We had a live audience.
Yeah, we did.
Live audience.
Yeah.
And not
Dude,
just
that
any
was
kind
so
of
cool,
audio.
man. I
That was
just want to,
freaking awesome.
it was really awesome. I
Yeah.
remember the feeling of, so we were basically, there was a table, we had our stools and, our
Yeah.
mugs, and
Yeah.
there was an audience there interacting with us. And
Yes.
we were talking about language acquisition, learning languages, and it
In
was
learning
amazing. Yeah,
language without a textbook,
exactly.
which
Yeah.
is called Dogme,
Yes, exactly.
coined by Scott Thornberry. He
Yes.
was responsible for coining it. And the whole idea, because I think this has a very huge link with the last episode of I mean, the last is this one, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
when we explored the cognitive aspects of playing,
exactly. Especially free play, if you think
exactly,
about it.
free
Yeah, yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a textbook, and you don't need a textbook to play.
Yeah.
Actually, you can have
Yeah.
like a basketball, or you can
Yeah.
have
Dude,
mechanical pencil. You can play.
you can play with dirt, like
exactly, yeah, with
give
whatever.
kids whatever, and
Exactly.
they will find a way to
cardboard,
a
they
will create
cardboard.
something out of their
Exactly.
imagination. Yeah,
That's the whole
absolutely.
point. If kids can create whatever they want in order to
Yeah,
have fun and in order to also learn and develop themselves cognitively without any specific textbook,
yeah,
you can do this as well in the classroom. You don't necessarily need a textbook to do that. Again, disclaimer here.
yeah.
No, we're not against textbooks. We're
Absolutely
not against
not.
them.
No,
Not
no.
that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is sometimes you're going to find some limitations in the course books that you
Yeah,
have.
yeah,
And interestingly, very interesting.
yeah,
Some weeks ago, a friend of mine, also a language teacher, he called me and he said, "Oh, really? I work.
yeah,
The principal is thinking about changing the course books, the publisher, blah blah blah." So we had this
yeah,
very interesting conversation, and I told him about the limitations of certain textbooks, of certain publishers.
yeah.
Every course book will have limitation. To be
Absolutely.
honest, everything in the world has limitations.
Yeah,
My
because
mechanical pencil has a
dude,
limitation.
think about
We
like you said something important, that think about creating something that will be used by millions of users who come from completely different backgrounds. Of course, it's not going to work perfectly for everyone,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the whole
Yes,
point. Yeah,
but we as educators, we have to be very attentive about this, because when we find this kind of limitation in a course book, we have
yeah,
to be fast. We have to have the peace
yeah,
of mind and say, "Ooh, okay, maybe now I can find something in the world. I can find an authentic material."
yeah,
If you don't know, if you really want to explore some, the classic books, we
yeah.
here in Brazil, we have
Oh yeah,
amazing classics, amazing.
yeah.
And this Santa's hat is
Santa's hat
better
is
now.
interfering
In
with
my
the
vision, in
episode,
my
folks.
peripheral vision.
Yeah,
So historically, many educators have said that they find it very hard to
yeah,
introduce the classics in the classroom here in Brazil.
yeah,
Okay, but there are ways to do that. Bring the classics to the classroom, because you don't necessarily need to start your lesson from scratch by using the classics. Maybe you can
absolutely.
bring your students' background, which is super advisable. So use your students' background, linguistic background in this case, and then you connect their linguistic background to
Yeah,
whatever is in the book. And then you say,
absolutely.
okay, so guys, let's open the book to page 36, chapter whatever of Machado de
Yeah,
Assis, or of
yeah,
Clarice Lispector, or of
yeah.
I don't know, Fernando Pessoa, I don't know. And then,
Dude,
you know,
the Alienist by Machado de Assis was one of
oh,
my favorite
it's gonna
stories,
become a series
yeah,
or a
so
film.
there's one that, because the Alienist is really about as a shrink, if you think
Yeah,
about that,
yeah.
and madness and very interesting topics to explore. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people would not give it a go as teachers, because this is like far beyond, far fetched, far removed from my students' reality.
Yes.
Not really. If you think there are timeless stories that maybe the language is complicated for your students, but there are adaptations. So like
Yes.
Rudy said, don't dive in straight from the get-go, like, let's start reading the book. No, do some warm-up activities
Yes.
by introducing the characters, thinking about the period. There are so many things you can do to get students engaged in reading again, because what Rudy gave an interview about this, right?
Mhm.
People are not reading anymore. This is scary. And I saw that in China as well. I see it in Brazil. People use AI to summarize everything. So they get a book. I need to know what the book is about. So they ask ChatGPT or whatever, what is the book about? And they don't read anything. And this is happening at the same time that we're getting distracted by phones. Reading requires slow cognitive process, because you cannot pay attention if you keep diverting your attention to the screen of your phone,
Yeah.
especially if you're reading something complex. So that's a pity, because reading is one of the best cognitive training activities that we have. So how do we get students to read again? We have to speak their language. We have to use their world, and then we have to slowly introduce the books or whatever readers you have, but
Yes.
adapt it to their level. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it might be complicated for them, right?
And make a connection with not we're using books because we're thinking about certain linguistic constructions, but it can be
Yeah,
anything. As I said, it can be a mechanical pencil.
yeah,
And let your students go nuts with a mechanical pencil.
yeah.
Use that into your favor as an educator. If you don't have like a Tony Stark like machine, super
Yeah,
techy, that's fine because you're
yeah,
limited by some sort of budget that you have. That's okay. Use a cardboard. Oh, I don't have a cardboard. What do you have? And
exactly.
and
Yeah,
again, let them play, let them explore,
yeah,
let the kids explore. And as an educator, keep an eye on them.
absolutely.
Keep
Yeah,
an eye on them. They are going to
yeah,
be interacting. And as they interact, as they're playing, as they're free playing or freely playing,
yeah.
uh, pay attention to the kind of language they're using, because then you're going to have linguistic data. If you want to introduce some of the classics, you're going to be like, okay, so I realize that they know this kind of construction. This is very similar to the construction that you have in Machado de Assis, for example, or in Shakespeare, or in Jane Austen, or in Virginia Woolf. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
or if you're not going to introduce the classics, if you teach kids, for example, let them play as well, because again, when they're playing, when they're freely playing, they're going to learn how to negotiate. This is a cognitive skill.
There you go.
They're going to learn how to make some selections, like, okay,
Control
this I
their
know.
behavior, right?
Control their behavior.
Yeah,
They're going to improve their linguistic skills as well, because they'll remember what I
absolutely.
said in the very beginning of this episode. We need to choose the words carefully. So they'll have to, based on their repertoire, which is not very extensive, but based on their
Yeah,
repertoire, what kind of constructions and words can I use to make my classmate understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
This is
There you
and
go.
this is the kind of linguistic negotiation that will happen once they're freely playing. So let them play.
Perfect.
Let them
And
play.
reading too. So you mentioned two important things that cannot really be replaced, free play and
Yeah.
reading. So extensive reading or extended reading helps you improve your lexical repertoire, so this is very important, and I think we're losing that. Like we
Yeah.
we talked about this at the beginning of the episode. People are getting used to receiving very short bursts of content through TikTok videos, So
Yeah.
how linguistically rich are those videos? They aren't. Many of them are just dances, People are just there is no linguistic feature whatsoever.
Yeah.
Except, non-linguistic feature like body language maybe and dancing, or maybe there are some subtitles, if
Or even
any,
sometimes
Yeah.
we don't want to extend too much here, but
Yeah.
even if there is some sort of linguistic production, the famous, which for me I still haven't
Yeah.
understood yet, the 6-7.
Ah, yeah. It's
Uh,
so
that's poor.
limited, man. Yeah, so
That's
limited.
poor. It comes
Yeah.
from a brain rot stuff,
Yeah. Brain
but
rot. That's another thing.
still
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
some linguistic construction. There are two numerals, but
Yeah.
they are so bored. They're so, shallow. And
Yeah.
what's the point, And of
Compare
course,
that to reading, The Alienist from Machado de Assis,
yeah.
for example, how rich the text is, not just with, linguistic features, language, vocabulary, lexicon, but think about the devices, the everything like irony, figurative speech, everything is
Yes.
there. Everything you need is there, and more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we recapped
Yeah.
every single episode of 2025 within, I would say within 60 minutes, but I'd be lying.
Maybe a little bit more, but
I'd be lying.
But it was
lying.
close. It was close.
Yes, guys, the
Yeah.
girls, the sisters from Disal, I'm so sorry. They are supposed to take care of the videos and the episodes.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. It was a little bit, just a little bit
longer.
more than 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, we talk too much, bro.
Yes. So, guys, again, from the bottom of our heart, thank you so much for being with us throughout this year of 2025. It hasn't been a very easy year. Actually, every year has been difficult, but this one was really, really tough.
Definitely,
and you were here with us, supporting us, watching the episodes, being with us live.
We really appreciate that, guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday season, great Christmas,
yes.
an amazing 2026, because we'll be back in 2026. Actually, we'll be back in 30 days.
Yeah. Yes. For the first episode of next year. Definitely.
We'll be back in 30 days or so. Yeah. Okay. And dude,
awesome. Man, awesome. So, everyone, Merry Christmas. We'll be back. Stay tuned for something very cool that is going to happen next year.
Many cool things.
We not just one thing, but this one thing I'm thinking about. You know what I'm thinking about is going to be super cool. So anyway, stay tuned, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great holiday season. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.